Today on Voices, 15 to Life, the journey of a college crew. I've seen it in several places on the net that if you're friends with a person or people for 7 to 10 years, the probability is really high you'll be friends for life. So joining the conversation today, I have a couple of guys I've known since college. Chris, Don C, and JB. Stats say we'll be cool for the long haul. And in that case, I'm cool with being a statistic. So welcome to the podcast today. Today's topic is 15 to Life, the journey of a college crew. I have two and coming soon 3 of my most dear friends that I met back in college. And we're going to have a conversation about how we stayed connected and maybe some advice on how we can encourage other people to take full advantage of the college experience and possibly being connected as friends for 15, 20, 30, whatever years they want to be. So I have JB and I have Don C, and Chris will be on the call later. So if you guys want to introduce yourself, you can. JB, if you want to go first, I'll let you go first, and then Don C, you can follow up. All right, Donnie, you want to go first? Because I maybe JB didn't.
Yeah. It's Don C. I don't have any podcast credentials. So
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I see what my challenge is, and I dropped a whole 16 bars just now. Y'all didn't hear a word of it.
No, man.
It was fire. It was a freestyle and everything.
Well, you gonna have to come off the dome again.
I have to go basic. Hello world, is JB. I can't give you the 16 I gave you the first time because I can't remember it.
Fair enough. All right. Am I echoing?
Yeah, you are.
Oh.
All right. Now, the last time I unplugged when I was echoing, I had to kill my call. So I'm going to unplug and try to plug back in. Hopefully, y'all can hear me. Oh, I'm not echoing no more. So, okay, it's fine. All right. Yeah. So the first thing I want to start off with is I'm going to tell my introduction to Chris, and then Chris spawned off the rest of it, and then I'm gonna let y'all go from there, because the first thing I want to cover is just like, how the crew came to be, right? So I remember walking in the dorm, and my mom was helping me move in, and I saw some black parents, and then I was on the top floor of the projects, and I walk in the room, and I saw a black dude, and I'm like, word, what's up, roomie? I think those are the exact words I said too. And Chris was like, yo, man, I got a black roommate, and I was like, okay. Words. So then we chopped it up for a little bit. Our parents became friends, and then we looked at the room assignment on paper, and I was in the wrong room. So then I had to go back to where I belonged, and then I had a crazy drug addicted roommate, and Chris had a very different roommate, which hopefully Chris come in and I'll let him explain it. And then Chris and I was like, hey, we gonna go out and meet people. We went to Carolina Productions meeting, where it was they set up concerts and stuff like that, and we met Jungle Juice, and from that point we jumped off at South Carolina, and then we went to South Carolina State for a homecoming, and then linked up with Don C. So I'm gonna let JB jump in next, because JB was the first connection, and then come back to Don C.
Mm-hmm. So going back to that Carolina Productions meeting, I think we probably been on campus maybe a week, and I saw the flyer as I was going through the student union, because for me, I didn't have a roommate. So the person who was assigned to my room moved out before I even showed up. And for the first 2 weeks, I didn't have anybody as far as a roommate goes. Go to the Carolina Productions meeting just to get involved on campus. That was my sole purpose of even going there. Ran into Chris and Lou, and the whole Jungle Juice thing came about because they did an icebreaker, and they were like, hey, say your name and say something that you like that starts with the first letter of your name. And me being from the thriving archipelago of Beaufort, South Carolina, one thing we used to do before school or after school, we stopped by the gas station that was down the street from the school, grab what they had was Jungle Juice, which pretty much was liquid sugar with unnatural flavorings, but it was amazing. So that was my drink of choice back in high school leading into freshman year. But that's where the Jungle Juice name originated from.
Word. And Don C. So then we got linked up when Chris and I went to state because Chris stole his car from home. I specifically remember him saying the words, he stole his car from home so we could go to homecoming.
Yeah, I remember that. And then, like, yeah, so, you know, obviously my intro to the crew was, like, non-traditional. I hit it when he comes on here, but I knew him 13. Like, me and him went to this, gonna sound like a big nerd here, but, like, this engineering. It was like, I don't even know how dude got my phone number. I guess he used the phone book, so now I'm making myself look like a nerd and agent myself. He just called me one day, which was kind of interesting. But then, after that, we talked on the phone like every day, and then I was hanging with this. And then, yeah, like I was like, hey, I'm in state. I can get into my state experience in a little bit, kind of like prison. Alert, yes. Came up to the homecoming. I think it was like the first homecoming my freshman year, and I think it was like like PD was there.
Yep,
and we ended up going to that concert, even though I think Jay-Z actually rode around campus.
Yeah, I don't remember his performance. I just remember the two EPMD and Outkast.
Yeah, Jay-Z window down, but it was dope. Like we stayed up pretty much straight, so that's how. JB later, I don't even remember I hung with JB for the first time, but you know, we were like all interchanging throughout life and everything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yo, so going to the connect. So the second year at school, beginning of sophomore year, we all moved into I guess that's the east side of campus because we Chris, JB, and I went Capstone, and Donnie was in Columbia Hall, I think, right?
Yeah.
And Donnie was rooming with Marcus. So at that time, that's when we really, really clicked off. And that's when Chris and JV decided to pledge. So at that point, we was the super tight crew at the beginning for probably like the first 2 months, Jay? Because y'all pledged maybe 2 months in?
Yeah, we're 2 months in. When everything. Yep, that's all I can say.
Yeah, that's where I was gonna leave it too. That's why I just said pledge, and I was like, I left it there. I was like, that's it, ain't nothing else to it. Yeah, so, which is interesting because I think that's a story worth not the pledging story, but just sort of having friends who pledge a fraternity or a sorority, I guess, for females, and how that sort of it could potentially alter friendships. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. It actually could. And you'll see it from a distance. I didn't experience it, thank goodness, but you see it. All right, wait a minute. You do experience a lot of that.
Yeah,
you know what was interesting? Oh, go ahead, Donnie.
Oh no, it's my bad. Like I got to work on the rules in game. But yeah, so they were pretty much doing it like years. It wasn't like the same.
Right. But what was interesting is because I mean we obviously knew they was pledging, but what was funny about it was like the first 2 months, all the people saw was like, yo, that's the crew, where's so and so and so and so. And then at like sort of I guess that wasn't midterms, but it's probably a quarter way through, people was like, yo, y'all ain't cool with Chris and JB no more. We was like, what?
Start seeing each other in pieces and parts.
Right. Because every now and then, all four of us might have hit the cafeteria or whatever. Like low key, we'd hit like specific places and like go grab some food or whatever. But like just standard on campus life, you people was like, yo, y'all don't talk. I'm like, I don't know what you talking about, man.
It was all that time we spent in the library studying. That's why I was focused that semester, studying in the library.
Hey, man.
That's where I was.
Yes, it was a lot of studying that you guys had to do. And then, so you had to burn the midnight oils and stuff like that. So I absolutely understood. Mm-hmm. So, for me, it was like nothing because, I mean, it was something that I understood because the interesting thing, I don't know if y'all remember, and Donnie, you probably can give a different perspective because you was at state. I remember in the second semester of freshman year, when we went to a probate show. And I had never been to a probate show. And I was like, yo, what is this? But it was a fire party, man. Yeah. And from that moment, like, I think, I didn't pledge. And I don't, so in my head, I was thinking about it. Like, it was in my head because I'm like, yo, is this what happens after you do this? So it was kind of sort of influential. Donnie, what you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I might be a little bit guard, right? So, my dad, and he was like super active, right? So, he took me to homecomings with him, saw stuff before I went to college. It is like, I only knew it like through my dad's eyes as like, an older dude at that time, right? I didn't know like social ins and like how it all college. When I got up there, I met some guys from the fraternity that I won't name, right? But they were throwing like dope stuff. It was crazy, right? It was like older dudes, and like I hung with them, and then they were like, "Hey, you want to make that move?" And I didn't even know it was that big of a deal. So I got home, I was like, "Yeah, hey, this is the." I was like, "Yeah, sorry, son, I can't support this. So if you don't do it, you gotta pay yourself, right?" So then I went back and talked to the dude. He was like my older homie. I was like, "Yo, man, you gotta pay to get in this one." And he's like, "Yes." Like, yo, that was like my first. Like, man, hey, daddy gonna give me the money. I ain't got no money for this, right? So that was the end of that, right? So I didn't do anything then. And then Jake and Chris know you. But by the time it was time for me to do it there, it was like my junior year. So I was like, yo, I'll be that old, laid low, and try to siphon off as many of the Greek life without being in it as possible.
Yeah, man, because the similar thing was the same unnamed organization was kind of leaning on me too, and I was like, yo, well, that's different than the homies. And while I didn't know the dynamics in the way you did, I was like, yo, man, them dudes look like they got beef with my homies, and I ain't gonna have beef with my homies over something I gotta pay to be in.
Mm-hmm. I plead the fifth.
So, but the best part, which you probably can talk about, is when after Chris and JB did their probate show and they came out and that joint was fire, that weekend we went to another college.
Oh man!
And man!
Oh
man! I ate so good that weekend off of them dudes. I appreciate them to this day for that. So basically, you can talk post learning about your organization, because post that, what would you say it did for your college experience post joining the organization?
Oh man, from a personal level, for me, it didn't seem all that different because I felt people knew who we were beforehand because we were involved in multiple organizations. I was holding a executive or officer position in one of the student organizations on campus. So people knew who we were. And then afterwards, they just enhanced it a little bit more. And it brought a different audience to the table. So people who were already Greek beforehand now notice me as another member of the Greek community. Or freshmen who didn't see me in the library studying finally get a chance to see me on campus, but now they see me in a different light or in this new light. Yeah, it brought a lot of wonderful attention from young ladies all across campus as that mentor and that beacon of light and hope that they would always aspire to be around.
And the interesting thing about that, and you kind of segued to how that also led, and it was a part of your maturation process in the university, because going into the junior year for all of us was when we decided, yo, we gonna live together. Even though I had an apartment and I lived next to you, I lived with y'all anyways. but that summer was absolutely bonkers because it was a summer of commonality. We'll put it like that, right? And I thought it was interesting because that was my first apartment. And I know all you guys had come to visit me in the apartment complex that I was in. So what was your motivation to wanting to say, hey, let's all move in together? Because I mean, like JB and Chris lived in the frat house already. so they didn't really have to do that. So it was a sort of a cognizant choice that they made. And then when Don C came in, it was basically everybody. So JB, I'll let you go first, and then Donnie, you can follow up. But what made you say, hey, let's go ahead and get this apartment together and do this?
Yeah. So what ended up happening that particular summer, we got kicked out of the hall for the summer months. So we couldn't stay there. But that particular year, I was like, I just don't want to go home. I want to stay up here. I already had a job up in Columbia. I just didn't want to go home. And so the concept of subleasing came up and how people were doing it in the commons that we stayed at. And so we're like, hey, so we're all going to hang out anyway. Let's just get together and sublease and make it happen.
Word. And Donnie, what about you, man?
So like, yeah, after that year, you know, I was in the same boat as JB, right? I was like, hey, man, I ain't really trying to go home. It was a job working at a factory, like second shift, no social life. And my parents was trying to like lock me down. Some weird. Cause it's like, yo, I already left for like, hey, you know what? You know, you need to come home at a set time, blah blah blah. So I knew when I went back, I wasn't coming. Man, so like, you know, that me and you hung. And I mean, like, I was always with you, right? Because you had the car. I didn't have the car. Yeah. So, man, I remember, you know, you do whatever, right? So I was already like, okay, hey, I want to live in the commons or whatever. And I went to my pops. He was like, yo, notice the theme here, I guess. I was like, hey, I want to move off campus. He was like, yo, I ain't paying for that. So get an apartment. So that's when you were like, yeah, well, you can move over to the commons with me. And you got me Bobby Allison. And then I think you went and talked to Chris and JB. And that's how it all ended.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, and you know, the interesting thing about that is then I think after Chris and JB decided to move there, didn't like a bunch of people follow y'all? Because a bunch of people from USC was in the commons that summer right after y'all came in.
Yeah, it was like the pattern just happened all at once. That we did it, and a couple other people that we knew decided they were going to do it too. And so, yeah, it was a summer of a network of friends and associates all ending up in the same apartment complex.
Yeah, man. But so speaking of it, so when we all in the same complex, what one of the most significant roles that was in between class or after class or before class was video games, man. Like video games are super important now, and I'm pretty sure they were super important then. So what do you think the role of video games played like in sort of the friendship relationship too? Donnie, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, that's funny, man, because I mean, like, that's like quick tangents, right? Like playing video games the other night, my wife was like, do any of your friends play video games? I was like, video games. I was like, that's kind of how you interacted. And I kind of thought about like, yo, I wonder what it's like for young dudes now, because everybody plays online. We didn't, you know, in the Stone Age, right? Just kind of like right there with your friends. Or like, I even remember like, you know, going to the hall, right? Like calling Chris and Jay, and we CIAA walk over there, right? And, like, play
Come get on the sticks.
Exactly. It was always like a battle. If you like, so and so wants to play you, right? It was like the cypher, like at the state too. We used to have like when it was NCAA tournament time, we tournament on this. So I think it was just like, yo, like it was like really like a way to just like compete with dudes and like kind of like get in that, you know, get testosterone going without actually the fight. You kind of stuff about different guys. You have those different interactions you kind of remember. So it definitely was like kind of like the glue of college. It's a huge role in life, right?
Yeah, and JB, what about you, man?
Yeah, the video games in college just allowed me to remind folks of my dominance in Madden on most occasions. And my dominance in NBA Live. Now, NCAA, I used to get my head beat every now and again. I used to beat people every now and again. And back then, I had the overtime curse. So,
yeah, you got to get Kristen on that one. But yeah, man.
So, to explain the overtime curse, if I can beat you in 4 quarters, I won or I lost, however it was. Back then, if it went to overtime, for whatever reason, I didn't have that clutch gene yet. I was just losing games in overtime. I can't remember who I played. It was Madden that was the game, or who I finally beat in overtime. Oh, goodness, when I finally got that first W in overtime, I was like Steve Young, get this monkey off my back.
You know, the crazy part was, I know I was sort of like a seesaw in video games. Like me and Chris used to, because we were roommates for a while, and we would play NCAA. But man, I would either win a game in Madden, or like I would get like completely beat down in Madden. Like it wouldn't be I would beat somebody and it'd be a close game. But if I lost, like somebody would like beat the brakes off of me. Because I think JB, you beat me like 50 to something. I'm like, man,
it was 55.
What is it?
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here like, man, what is going on? Why I can be competitive in some games and then I get the brakes beat off of me in another one? Like I just didn't even understand the rationale behind it. And so, but it brings up a different thing, because then the next thing is when everybody is living together. Obviously, you got your time for video games. We all had jobs, but I mean, we was living in places and had jobs, so we could do the one thing. We could road trip. And so what would you say is the most memorable road trip that was taken?
That
JB, I'll let you go first.
That particular summer, or
at any time?
Man, I got a few. So there's a road trip you and I took to Winthrop.
Oh,
that was fun.
Woo.
Woo.
Yeah. And for Chris and I, that same summer, he and I came to Atlanta for a weekend because we had a national convention. So we came to Atlanta. So I put half my personal belongings, because we had to get out of the apartment at that point. So half my personal belongings ended up in my aunt's garage, and the other half stayed in the trunk of my car as I drove to Atlanta for the weekend and parked in one of the paid parking lots where you got to put the money in the slot.
Yeah.
Knowing I'm steady running downstairs every 5 hours, making sure I put money in the meter. I was like, I probably could have parked in a better spot than what I did at that time. But
yeah,
those
man,
would be my two memorable road trips for that summer.
Yeah, and Don, see, what about you, man?
Yeah, I'd say the same thing about Winthrop, right? That was like Winthrop and the whole around that time, right? So anytime you wanted to get out, you went to Charlotte, you knew it was popping. And then I thought, man, it was probably me, and then found out what kind of foolishness he was on.
Yeah, so speaking of which, that same summer was a very interesting summer for me. I don't know if you remember, and so I'm going to shift the music for a second. So one time, I think at the time I had a girlfriend in Charleston, and I was driving back to Charleston, and my car tire blew out. And I was driving like 90 on the highway, and it blew out. The police were behind me. My car spun out across all 3 lanes, and then I almost hit a tree. And I remember I was listening to rap at the time, and my cell phone couldn't get any signal where I was. So I walked to the gas station and I called either Chris or Donnie, and then you dudes came and got me and followed me back to Charleston. And in that whole ride, I'm like, yo, I almost died. It's because of the rap. I ain't listening to rap no more. So I gave away all my rap CDs that summer. I remember that vividly. I gave them all away. But with that, I mean, obviously I've come back to rap. What do you guys would consider like the soundtracks for your college careers?
Ooh. All right. Let's see. So freshman year, I would say anything off of Mace Harlem World. Sophomore year would be Jay-Z Hard Knock Life, and specifically If I Should Die, it being the song for sophomore year. Don't ask, just that was the song. And then by junior year, oh man, it was I don't know what it'd be for junior year and senior year. But it'd be something Jay-Z related.
So
I will say that.
Right.
Something Jay-Z related. So you know what? That's it. The soundtrack for my college years would be every song or album Jay-Z released from 1997 to 2001.
There it is. And Donnie, what about you, man?
I'll throw in like just to piggyback on JB. Yeah, it was the Blueprint. Was that our junior year or our senior?
It was the fall of our senior year. So after we graduated.
Okay, gotcha. Well, you know, you graduated.
Oh. Really rephrase the fall of 2001.
Man, so the funny thing is, man, y'all gonna die when I say this, man. Like Supreme Clientele, I've been listening to that like crazy, man.
Yes.
Yeah. That was our sophomore year, right?
I think somewhere between there. Yeah, I gotta go back and look, but yeah, Supreme. That was a good one. Yo, I got another two for you.
Right.
Noriega and Cameron's, I believe it was his first album because they dropped about the same time.
Yeah, it did.
I would bump one CD going up 95 and bump the second one coming up 26 consistently when I made my trips back home.
Yep. And what was the Black album? The joint with that album fire, by the way.
I think it's called Based on a True Story.
Yeah. Crushing that joint.
You gotta look it up. I might be not quoting it correctly, but something to that effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shoot, my freshman buddy listened to there, right? Like it was a No Limit album coming out like every week.
Oh yeah.
So with that, because soundtracks tell stories. So Donnie, I'm gonna let you go first. Okay, yeah. So soundtracks normally go with stories. So what's one standout story of not college now, but just of the crew in general? What's one standout story for you, Donnie?
Oh man, like I hate to do this to him because he ain't here to defend himself, right? I got some of it, but like JB, I hope you was there, man. You remember when Chris came back with that family reunion shirt?
Oh yes, I do. If there was ever an assassination of character in one moment, it was that. Oh
yeah. Oh man, like we crushed. Well, you know, I'm throwing about myself, but that night I homegirl and I had to leave the apartment, and y'all had to come pick me up, and I was walking up the street.
Oh, okay. And JB, what's a standout story for you?
Oh man. Oh. Okay. Not to incriminate anybody, but so there was this voicemail left on our phone one time while we stayed together in the apartment. Somebody left a voicemail. It was a rather entertaining voicemail, and I'll leave it at that. So the voicemail was a funny moment in crew history. Let's see. Oh, here's another one. Lou, you getting that popsicle out the refrigerator that time?
Yeah.
Like I said, we're leaving names out, but that popsicle out the refrigerator, yeah, that was another memorable. And last but not least, well, no, I guess I can't tell that part of the story because I don't know how long statute of limitations last. I guess everyone knows that. Well, y'all too know it. Things I've learned: never leave containers open that you don't want people to consume.
Yeah.
I watch everybody else is gonna be listening to this. Is like, these are 3 inside jokes I don't get, but they're dying laughing about it.
It's good. Yo, so I got one story. JB, I think we talked to you about it after because I think you were working. But my story that I remember is me and Donnie went to go out and eat with a group of girls, and and, and the bill came, and we was like, yo, like it wasn't that we was broke. I think we just ain't had no money on us, and like the location we ate food didn't have ATMs near it. So we got on the phone and we called Chris, and we was like, yo, Chris, come meet us at this gas station to come get us. And so then we told the girls, yo, we gotta go to the bathroom real quick. And then we left, and Chris picked us up from the gas station. And they paid for it. And we saw one of the girls the next day. And they was like, yo, why y'all just left us? And I was sitting on the chair in the lobby of the dorm, and I was reading the newspaper, and I pulled the newspaper down, and I looked at the girl, and I was like, and they said something to me about paying them, and I'm like, I ain't paying you. And then I put the newspaper back up to my face, and I kept reading. And I was like, yo, looking at that now, that was super duper grimy of me for doing that. But in college, I felt that was necessary to build the character of me never doing that again.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So the next thing is, because in college, we were actually there during a period in time that actually was up and down for sports, and college is obviously about that sort of athletic thing. I mean, there's people who are trying to get to the NFL and professional levels. So for Donnie, what is your most memorable college sporting event?
So who's going first? Me or JB on that one?
You.
Oh, my bad. Thing is, like, actually didn't good, right? But y'all remember, like, when Spurrier was there with the football team, and we actually were having a good season. I think we might have even under, but we played Florida, one in the country, and I think we were like top 5 or something like that. I got to go back and like Wikipedia this, but like then, like it was right, like because we were trash, so like all the hype and that, like when we go in the game, we ended up getting stomped out. Like it was pretty cool experience.
Was that the blackout game?
It was.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
And JB, what about you? What's your standout college sporting event memory?
I would say for me it was when we beat Clemson 2015 at home in 2000, I believe it was. That was my first game where I didn't have to work the concessions, and I just sat in the stands and watched the game.
I bet that was definitely an event. So because a lot of the first part of the conversation sort of was focused on the college experience, a quick question, and JB, I'll let you go first. Did you ever have goals for like the friendship in general? Because I mean, we all are different people, but we have so much in common. But did you ever have goals where you like, as you were changing as a man and maturing, did you say, hey, well, I have goals for this person and this person? Because there's people you were friends with in college that you may not be friends with now. And we're going to shift to post-college in a minute. But did you have any goals for like the friendship while you were in college?
No, because while I was in college, in my head, I thought everything was going to last forever. So never really had goals to say, hey, I want to make sure, we all stay together, do X, Y, Z, because in my head, we were always going to hang together anyway. So never really had a goal for it, but managed to achieve, if there was a goal, to say, hey, everybody stay at least connected enough to communicate on a consistent basis. And so like with us, we do that. And then with other individuals that I've befriended in college, I've been able to keep that going outside of social media, because social media that's not really the connection that I do, even though I'm on there. But the text message or the phone call every now and again, or the birthday text, stuff like that, the occasional pop-up visit or scheduled visit to their respective places, or meet up at homecoming, stuff like that.
Right. That makes sense. Donnie, what about you, man?
Yeah. I was kind of funny in college. I kind of thought it'd be like high school, right? So like when I left high school, like I had friends. Chris, Chris was the only like after high school pretty much. I kind of thought like, okay, hey, college, we having fun. Everybody's gonna remember each other. But then this adult life out there, probably move away and all this stuff. So not to steal thunder on your next topic, maybe I'm throwing a segue. Realize be in my life for like probably the rest of my life is like those 2 years after we first graduated, right? Where we were going through that adulthood and like we were still together. I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna keep going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, well, cool, because it does segue into adult life, post-college, and families. And the interesting thing about it was, which I think is the coolest thing, is obviously all of us did different things, but I probably was the most different in my moves because I was the dude that would disappear and come back, but I always was there, but I would disappear. So, for instance, there was a period of time where I left the country. I was gone, but I still stayed up with everybody, and then I came back. And then the interesting thing was when I came back was when the first, in my opinion, the first major event of the homies went down is when JB got married. Because that literally, I came back right in the I think the month before JB got married. I think I just got back in the country. And I was in the wedding, as a matter of fact, too.
Yep.
So I think that's significant. So in your opinions, like post-college, like what are some sort of seminal events? Because we have different career paths and we have different life ambitions. So what are some of the seminal moments that stand out to you as far as like an event post-college as a group? JB, I'll let you go first. I'm sorry.
Events post-college as a group. All the weddings, because we all managed to kind of make all of those. Well, all the weddings. I'll say that. CIAA. Actually, I think CIAA probably solidified it more than the weddings did. But it kind of stair-stepped themselves into it because it was all the weddings first, and then CIAA became that thing.
Right. That's fair. And Donnie, what about you, man?
Yeah, man. So I mean, that's all. JB might agree. Like, I think me and him were like way tighter, like after college than we were.
Yeah.
And everything, but like being live in Augusta at the same time, Greenville, Columbia, right? So I mean, I think like weddings, and then I remember like first son was born, like going over to his apartment. Like that was another video game story. I remember it, like we did battle out. I think it was live, but you were like cradling your fatherly balance. Wouldn't let him drop. And still like going to war on the game, but yeah. So that was one. Like job out of college, he worked. I remember going by there to like say what's up to him on around lunchtime, and then be on the phone just talking about like different stuff that happened at work. Yeah. So obviously, Lou, when you stuff we got into in Charlotte, just like taking different trips, different places.
Yeah, and one of the interesting memories I have is actually going to Atlanta. And it's interesting. Well, the reason that we went there is irrelevant for me, but the fact I remember one weekend, and I think JB, you were in Arizona at the time, or you were just moving back to the East Coast, and Donnie and I made a road trip to Atlanta, and we made a road trip there and back in the same day, and like we almost died on the way back driving because like neither one of us got sleep because we had worked that day. Both of us had worked that day, and then we drove down. We did what we needed to do down there, and then we came back like that same night. And dudes was like hallucinating the whole night. But that story really solidified like why we was really there for people, because I actually remember going to JB's house as well when his first son was born. and it was me. I was accompanied, and I went there, and we hung out. And I didn't know nothing about babies, but I remember specifically saying to JB, "I don't touch babies until they got neck muscles," and like, and it was funny because I mean, JB just looked like a natural. I mean, JB, I think you were the first one to get married, and you probably was the first one you were the first one to be a father as well. So you kind of, in a sense, kind of set I don't know if standard is the right word, but you kind of set an example for everybody going forward. What do you think about that, Donnie?
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. Because and I always said, I said that to Marcus the other day too, because he got married when he was like 26, which is still years that. I'm always like blown away. Like I know at that time I couldn't have had no family, and that dude was holding it down. So yeah, like that's definitely like seeing him do it. Like I was like, okay, hey, that's something I'll probably do myself at some point in the future.
And JB, what about you, man? Because I mean, not to put pressure on you, but I mean, you kind of were just stepping out there before everybody else.
Yeah, it was just order. It's something I wanted to do in the moment when I chose to do it, and never looked back. Really, it wasn't something I was like, "Hey, I want to be the first to get married and have kids," but this is how it happened. But I'm ever grateful for it because I've enjoyed the rewards that have come with both.
Absolutely, man. And an interesting thing, and you can probably speak to it more so because of sort of the depth that you've gone in relationships externally for the group. A lot of people get in relationships, specifically guys, and if they get with a woman or whatever, and then they kind of abandon their guy friends. And the thing about it is none of us have done that. And I think that's interesting. But so what do you think causes some guys to get with whoever their significant other and abandon their friends? And somehow we were still able to have significant others and still kind of band together. JB, I'll let you go first.
I would say it's the influence of outside sources that have impacted that. So what I mean by that is you end up in a relationship with said individual, and these outside sources are giving you information like, hey, you should have your relationship like this, or you should do it like that, or this is how it looks on TV. And so people get influenced by that, and they jump into the silo of, oh, I can only be with my significant other, and that's it. For myself, the communication came first. It's like, hey, yes, we'll be a couple, but these are my friends, and they're not going anywhere. So you have to either accept it or we have to figure something else out. And so that kind of worked for me, and it goes both ways because same thing with her friends. If they come visit or they're in town or whatever it may be, and she wants to go hang, I wave and say bye, have fun, because that's what we agreed to. We'll still have each other, we'll still have our time, but you need that friendship piece just to be human, really. So that's what worked on my end.
Fair enough. Donnie, what about you, man?
Yeah, so I apologize if I'm breaking up a little bit, like I'm going. Yeah, I what JB said. I think like any healthy relationship, like they're gonna accept who you are, right? And your friends are who you are. Like my daughter, or like my sister, or like any just woman, like I cared about platonically, right? It's like about the friend. He's like, I'm spending all my time with you, and you can't have no friends either, right? It's kind of like you're missing that balance from life.
So, but it's interesting. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask if you heard me. My bad.
No, well, I mean, you said, I heard what you said, where you're like, hey, you have a relationship with someone and you begin dating someone, and for them to want you to spend all your time with them is pretty unrealistic. So I agree with that. And so it actually it's leading me to the next question of sort of the role that your families play in your lives, because the thing is, your roles are really important. Obviously, we all have different family dynamics, but what things that you've taken from the friendship that you have that you take into your relationships that you think have helped benefit your relationships at home with your families? Donnie, I'll let you go first.
I think just of who a person is and just kind of like supporting them unconditionally. I think that's one thing, like, we all kind of picked up from each other, like one way or the other. Cause I mean, we all met each other in kind of like a pretty, like, year 8, he's like, I mean, that's a pretty volatile time in a guy's life, right? Like, your experiences and just learn things together. So I just kind of take that same approach with, like, my family now. Like, hey, this is who this person's gonna be. Like, maybe this event will happen or that event will happen for them, and then, like, it'll go the same way with me too, right? Because I got my ways that are crazy.
Right. JB, what about you, man?
Yeah, for me, from a family dynamic, what I push my boys to do is get yourself a crew. 1, 2, 3, 4 guys that are like just like you, because it's good to have that group of friends that you literally just grow up together with. And as those learning experiences happen, you may experience something that I haven't experienced yet, but you can fill me in on it and vice versa. I encourage them to do the same, or at least try to find someone for their level to do, build upon and grow up with and have that connection with. Because it could be lifelong, but for the time period of the snapshot of right now in the school that they're in, it'd definitely be beneficial as they mature and grow.
Yeah, and I think those are good points. Specifically, Donnie mentioned this early in the conversation where he said something along the lines of about graduating at different times. Like, we all graduated at different times. I mean, Chris has like 14 degrees, and so he graduated multiple times. But, the thing that I find interesting is that I felt like, because I was the last one to graduate, I didn't feel any sort of a judgment from anyone for people to be like, hey, well, you graduated at a different time than me. There was never sort of a superiority inferiority thing. And I think there was sort of a humility there. I mean, did you have like expectations for people to sort of be in certain places at certain times, or was the value of the person sort of trumped the personal accomplishments? So JB, I'll let you go first on that one.
Yeah, I definitely say the value of the person trumped anything else. We were just down to support whatever the idea was or whatever was going on. Like, hey, this is what you want to do? Cool, I'm with it.
And Donnie?
Yeah, I think of each other, and like somebody would just be like, like show up somewhere on time. They're like, hey, that's Chris. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, yeah, we always just did accept each other. I think one about it, like the sons though, like, we always did like have like even if they changed or whatever, kind of like a common like vision for like, hey, this is dude I want to be. Like, always talked about the future, right? So I think like it wasn't like any like or anything. We did kind of like motivate each other to like, hey, I'm not gonna be a bum and like flunk out of college. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get a job, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so because of that, you can talk about how we all have achieved different levels of success. And so I think JB mentioned earlier CIAA. And so I want to just touch on that for just a minute, because I think JB pointed out a solid point of the CIAA event in itself really solidified some stuff, because I know JB, I think you were staying with a family member or in a hotel or something like that. Donnie lived in the city. I lived there. No, hold up. Everybody stayed with me that weekend, didn't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we did that first one, yeah.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, because because but the first one was like the solidified one, because you all saved me from dying that weekend on different levels. And it's interesting because like that's the first time I went to a day party, and I remember Donnie and I went to a day party, and then we got the tickets for the VIP event, and then we all was like, hey, we're gonna be professional partiers tonight. And everybody was dressed to the nines. I don't even know if that's a correct phrase, but they were dressed up. And so what was the most memorable part of that CIAA event? Because I'm going to throw mine in real quick. Mine was the morning after, when I escaped my house to get breakfast, and I'll leave it like that. But I'll let Donnie go first, and then you go ahead, JB.
Yeah, man. I just remember, and like, I hope I'm not scrambling it up, but like, we had met that dude who was a bartender, right?
Yep.
Yeah, man, that was crazy. So like we got there and like, dude, like back, we walked through the kitchen like a mob boss, remember? And then like, yo, we ain't paid for nothing. Like, in there, man, we probably drank like at least $1,000 worth of stuff, man. And I remember I could not see straight, so I leave like how we got home. But that party was just so live, man.
Oh
Man,
yeah.
I wonder where that dude's at in life, because that was a good call.
And JB, what about you, man?
Yeah, that was one. Chris had bought like a VIP ticket by mistake for that party. So we ended up, like, you guys met with the bartender, but we also had access to the VIP all you can pour.
Yeah.
So we were just picking line and having at it. And I can't remember this song. I don't know if it was 3 6 Mafia's Pop My Collar or something else, but collar popping was a thing. We kept doing it in every picture.
Yeah, because Amber took some classes.
Oh gosh. Oh, those are amazing. But yeah, back to the point of dressing to the nines. So that was like, I know for me that was like the first party I got dressed, put on a blazer. Well, actually bought a blazer first off, and then wore it. So yeah, that was like that coming of age. I'm gonna be grown and enjoy myself in an outing versus the Timbs and jeans that we've been accustomed to beforehand.
That's absolutely awesome. So I got two more questions. One is sort of looking back in time, and one is more future centric. So the first question is, and JB, I'll let you go first, and then Donnie will jump in. Is advice for college. So I read this article the other day, and there's this guy, and he's talking about college students today, and he says the advice that I wish I knew before I entered college, and he says I wish I built a real network. I wish I learned how to write, how to sell, how to do math, how to code. And instead of going to job fairs, using my social media to network with people and to make the most out of my summers. And the final thing he said is to read a lot of books. So what would you have told you pre-college JB going into college?
I would have told myself to actually strive to get that 4.0 versus just going through the motions like I actually did. The best advice I got in college was from Chris. He told me, do not play Final Fantasy VII because I would flunk out of college. And he took the disc from me. And didn't give it to me till the summer. And I made it through that year, and I found out that summer why I would have failed had I had that game. So that was one good advice. But back to the serious part. If I were to go back and tell myself, yeah, focus on my GPA and getting that as high as I could right out the gate, because I came in like, oh yeah, this is a breeze, and just kind of went through the motions and didn't really apply myself like I should have. Also, if there's anything else I would say, no, that'd be the main thing. Focus on the GPA, because everything else, I enjoyed it.
Cool. And Donnie, what about you?
Yeah, I think I'd just say, like, make sure you get something out of it. Like, that was one of my dad, man. He was with me when I first registered for classes at US. And then he was driving me back to my dorm room, like, to drop me off or whatever. He was doing, like, the regular, like, hey, like, dad talk stuff, right? So we were just riding. He was like, yeah, college, that's fun, 4 years you go in your life. But after that, you're going to be an adult. So make sure you take care of what you got to take care of, like job and everything like that. Keeping that in mind. I had a couple where I was like, really, yeah. I just pushed myself harder and just like made sure I opened more doors for myself. Important part of being in college.
Word. And those are both of y'all, especially just hindsight. I mean, obviously it's 2020. So now I'm going to give you the next site, which is, we don't know how blurry that is or what kind of glasses we need to wear. So Donnie, I'm going to let you go first. And so I'm obviously science and several scientific studies have shown if you're friends with somebody for more than 7 years, you're more than likely going to be friends with those people, that person for the rest of your life. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. So looking forward, and what do you see in your future as far as like some goals you have for friendship in the future, as well as your family and maybe even some personal career ambitions?
Oh, so I'm going first on this. All right, yeah, you throw the heat at me. Yeah, man. So I think my funny thing is, obviously, this changed like recently. So I mean, I got my son on the way. So obviously, my first goal is just to make sure he's gonna be more successful than I am. Like throughout, I just gotta like make sure I pass on as much as I can to him. Professionally, than a lot of people thought it would when I was younger. But just trying to.
Can you repeat that? It cut out. Yeah. It cut out. It just caught you
like,
younger.
Okay. Yep. You got me.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Career. At least get like to the level of like an executive vice president or something like that, and then start my own consulting firm. So that'll be my retirement plan. That's a long-term thing, probably like years from now, but that's something I want to accomplish before I finish working, and just make sure I got my lifestyle nothing, and they can they always have options, can do what they want. Those are the things I'm focused on.
Solid, man. That's good. JB, what about you, man?
Yeah, on the personal piece, making sure the family's straight, get a chance to watch them grow and develop into the young men that they aspire to be, and nurture their dreams. Also nurture my wife's dreams and ambitions from a personal and career standpoint for herself. Career-wise, for me, I'm in a good place in my career right now, and I'm just going to ride this ladder for as long as I can. And career goal would be spend 30 years with a company, because that's not something that happens a lot these days. So that's a career goal of mine. And from the friendship piece, hey, we're gonna keep riding this thing on so we can ride it on. And me buy a new grill every like 5 years so I can keep grilling.
And the thing about it is that I think the people when they listen to this, they'll have a pretty good sense of who we are, and they can understand the friendship, and they'll actually also understand the value that Chris holds in the group, because each one of us had something about Chris where it was both positive and we can improve things, but Chris held a specific sense, and I think hearing what he would have to offer on this probably would be pretty valuable as well, specifically since he's his daughter is what like 8 months or something like that now.
Mm-hmm.
So I know he's in the new dad mode and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty cool. I mean, I leave it out there. I'm guessing at some point in the future, I will be a father to someone's to some human being, and I think I have some fantastic examples from some homies that will be there. Like, it's funny because they'll have uncles, you know what I'm saying? Because I mean, for me, it's interesting. I grew up as an only child. So while I have my moments of being a loner, which is why I got called ghostwriter sometimes, but in the same breath, I had a really significant appreciation for who you guys were and are, and what you were and developed into. And so the JB talks about the grill. I'm looking forward to creating an event where people can sort of bask in the crew. You know what I'm saying? And they can appreciate the success that we are living, enjoying, and have had in life, and will have. So with that being said, are there any final notes that you would want to leave for someone listening about, hey, how to maintain a friendship, how to maybe start a friendship, or how to grow a friendship along the way? I'm gonna let JB go first, so Donnie has his moment to balance his thoughts on this.
Let's see how to maintain a friendship. Stay connected however you can. It's a lot easier today to stay connected with people with all the technology that's available. So I would say stay connected with the friends that you've made and grow with each other, because things are going to change slightly in the dynamics as you get older. So be able to adjust and grow within that. And never let, this is a big one I used to always say, never let money be a factor in a friendship. Chris and I would always say, like, if he came to my house, you grab something to eat or some beer or whatever, and vice versa. And we thought about it, I was like, however much money we probably owe each other, I owe you that beer at this point, or I owe you that plate. So never let money be a factor in a friendship, because that could hurt, but don't do it.
That's good. That's a significant one. I like that. Donnie, what about you, man?
Say like I think like just like accepting of your friends, just being there for them, right? Never let loyalty be a question, right? Because I think that's like one everybody would say about me, right? Like, now I might fall off the face of the money for like 2 months, but like if you need something, I'll be there, right? So like, and I know it's the same for y'all. That's like, to me, it just learn and grow from each other. Because like, I mean, to be honest with you, I learned like JB, like cracking on me. Donnie ain't gonna call, you know what I'm saying? like learning how to maintain that connection, everything like that, right? So yeah, just
Are you still there, Donnie?
Yep, I'm still here. You guys hear that last?
Nah, say it again. Yeah, I'm a throw in a part, and maybe that the location you in will clear up. It's interesting because all I've ever had sort of in life is friends anyways, and I'm pretty non-judgmental because I in most cases in life I think everything is kind of impermanent, but I appreciate the fact that whenever the homies get together and we take a crew picture and it shows up on social media somewhere, like people know they're not shocked that we're still cool. They actually, I feel like they expect it, and that's good because I think that says something about the quality of our character and of who we are, and how actually our friendship was and is a real friendship. And so, Donnie, I'm gonna let you hopefully get on that last part you want to say, and then we gonna take a pause and maybe come back to it.
Y'all hear?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Yes, I think that last part I was saying was just like, treat your, part of yourself, right? So if one of my friends needs something, they got it, no question, right? Because like, that's I don't know, like it's kind of childish because that's pretty much the golden rule they teach you in kindergarten. But I think a lot of people don't live by that. Just treat friends and family as yourself.
Absolutely, and I'll put it like this, and I'll close out with this, and this actually leads to the last big event that we did together was when Donnie got married last year, and I was traveling from South America, and I bought a bottle of duty-free water to bring back to the country, and I asked the man when I bought the water, hey, do I need to put this water in a specific kind of bag because it says this on the sign? And the man says, no, yeah, you don't need that. You can just take it with you. So then I get to Fort Lauderdale, and I have to change terminals. So I have it in my hand luggage because I didn't want to check anything because I was on a time crunch. And then I go through security, and it's like, yo, you can't take this water with you onto the plane. And it's like, do you want to throw it away? And I looked at her, and I'm like, woman, black people don't throw this water away. So I had to check my bag, and it cost me like $60 to check a handbag. And I was like, man, and the price didn't matter to me because I'm like, yo, this was special request for this event. And so I got off the plane, brought the bottle of water to the event, and the water lifted our spirits to enjoy the night a little bit more. And so I feel like that's the epitome of, I'm gonna make sure, I said I'm gonna do something. I know my boys are gonna do the same thing for me. And so we had a really good night, and it was super duper memorable.
Mm-hmm. It was some high quality H2O.
So with that, fellas, I'm not gonna hold you up for your families anymore. I appreciate you taking the time from your work and from your families to share in this dialogue, and to let people know that friendship is real and it can last a long time. It's one of the best sentences you can receive in life. So with that, dudes, I'll talk to you guys in the chat, and thank you very much.